I'd like to kind of focus now on your practice and your career as a physician's assistant. So would you kind of like to shed some light on, kind of the healthcare component when it comes to men and their health? Because, a lot of men don't like to go to the doctor. I mean, a lot of men don't focus on their mental health, but a lot of them don't focus on their physical health either. So kind of get into that for us a little bit.
Love to, man. Yeah. So yeah, as we talked about, I did eventually get into PA school. That is a miracle and a half. That whole like cutting my hand open, that was like part of it. I got, I applied to 6 places, got 5 no's and 1 yes for an interview, and
Wow.
that was Trevecca. And so, anyways, got in. I think there's like 1,500 applications and 50 accepted, like 50 seats. So,
Wow.
um, by no means was I in the top 50. That was like God's plan for me. So, became a PA, graduated school in 2015. Had no life during PA school other than school. But yeah, graduated 2015, got out, started doing primary care, physician's assistants. For people who don't know, and a little bit of background, our model and the way we're trained is very much so similar to med school in a condensed version. So you kind of get exposure to a lot of different fields: primary care, emergency medicine, OBGYN, pediatrics, surgery. So you kind of get immersed in a lot. And then once you finish PA school, you can pick what fields you want to go in, and you can change from year to year. It just depends on like what's the best job, best fit for you. So right out of school, man, I did primary care. I did it out in Mount Juliet. I did it for 2 to 3 years and loved it. As far as like what I was getting to do, it felt, I mean, honestly, pinch myself, surreal. Like it was, I don't know. It felt like such a dream, and I enjoyed it. But man, our system is so broken. And long story short, just after doing it, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. After doing it for 2 to 3 years, I ended up going to orthopedics. I did orthopedics, sports medicine, for 4 years with Damon Petty with Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance. So we were the Titans team physician. We were TSU's team physician. We were Wilson Central High School. We had a lot of sports medicine. Cumberland University, a lot of sports medicine background, orthopedics and general orthopedics and like joint replacements. Did neurosurgery after that. I switched from primary to ortho to neurosurgery simply like at the time it was stage of life and quality of life. We had two. We have now I have 2 boys, but had a kid in 2020, July of 2020. So right during COVID, and that led to I'm never at home with orthopedics, so I did neurosurgery to get more time at home because I'd worked like nights and holidays and weekends, but in turn I got more time off. So made some changes, and then in January of this year, so starting a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was kind of in that same space after doing neurosurgery for as long as I had. For the last 10 years, I've done part-time urgent care and ER work to make a little extra income and also to keep my skills fresh. Because once you specialize, it's easy to forget like the broad base of knowledge that you do know. And so I never wanted to lose that because the, the foundation of healthcare, right? Primary care to me is like so pivotal. It's the foundation, I think, which everything is built off of. And anyways, so in that kind of headspace of like, I feel like I was called to do something different or more, I guess is what I could say. One of the surgeons I worked for looked at me one day, I was like, you got to go back to med school. You'll never be content. You're underutilized doing what you're doing, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I'd heard that 1,000 times in 10 years, but I'm like, this one hit home. It hit in a weird way. So I went home and I was like, couldn't sleep. Now I know that was a heavy conviction from the Lord of just like, be curious about what I'm telling you. So I started looking about going to med school. I started trying to figure it all out. Started talking to program directors, trying to go back to look at the school stuff and try to figure out if I could make it work with 2 kids and a wife. And that quickly became like like a mountain I could not climb. And then I ran into and heard about direct primary care, DPC. And once I figured out what that was, like as far as a model of healthcare, I was like sold. You know, it's um, you know, the premise behind it is our system is broken. Like you said, men don't like going, not just men, but no one likes going to the doctor, especially your primary care physician, simply because the way the system is built is, you know, it's so unsatisfying going to your primary care because it's like, again, we utilize insurance. So you go to your primary care and you go under your standard insurance, you get your one physical a year. They screen you for like very little things based on reactive treatment. So it's like, we'll check you for diabetes, check your cholesterol, check your blood pressure, check for certain cancers. And then if you fit, like if you don't have those things, they say, okay, we'll see you back in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing about it is proactive. And the whole like old school medicine where it was like you knew your PCP, you could call them when you're sick, you could get seen same day or next day, was like totally non-existent. Well, DPC, direct primary care, is that. Like it is, by paying your provider directly a low cost monthly fee. And in turn, what they do with that is they can keep their panel smaller and not have thousands and instead have hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
They can essentially guarantee to the members into that, you know, model, hey, I can see you same day or next day at all times. I can, I don't have to bring you in for all these like um, low acuity things just because that's the way we make money. It's like I can deal with stuff virtually. I can get you on the phone. I can call you. I don't even necessarily have to see you per se for certain things that are appropriate. But it was just a model that felt too good to be true. But after doing a lot of research and looking kind of throughout the country, I called and reached out, cold called to a lot of direct primary cares throughout the country because this model had began in 2011, and it's become exponentially way more well known, I guess you could say, over the last 6 to 7 years. But ultimately, after doing a bunch of research and kind of looking at some other people, they were like, universally, what I would hear from every provider was best decision I ever made. Their quality of life went way up. Their knowledge went way up because they were able to, like, you know, dedicate time and their education, their continuing education, their expertise into these patients. They would be able to research and look into things rather than worrying about clicking boxes and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, checking off a list and falling into the insurance model. And so, yeah, man, I was sold. I was like, I gotta try. It felt like once I heard about it, that whole conviction thing of like maybe going back to med school was like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, in January started Cool Springs Direct Primary Care, and it has been nothing short of a blessing, a miracle of just like, you know, we're still in the growing phase and growing stage, but it, like the face that you're one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
The randomness to the people that are walking through the door and saying, hey, my name is said name, and I get to meet them, and I'm just like, honestly, I just feel like it's ordained, man. Like it's I feel
Yeah.
honored to get to do it in this way. It way more holistic. I like to use the word holistic because, man, I can spend time with patients. The average visit is like 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes longer, sometimes a little shorter,
Mm-hmm.
just depends. But the average visit being 45 minutes to an hour, that's unheard of in primary care. Um, and man, I'm like getting to wear all the hats. Like I get to apply my ortho background, my neurosurgery background, my ER background, my urgent care background, the primary care model. I'm like getting to dive into my old exercise science kinesiology stuff and doing health optimization, talking to people about stuff that's not insurance quote approved. And that's not because
Mm-hmm.
it's not good for you. That's because insurance doesn't want to cover anything beyond the basics, which is essentially, you know, if you've gotten to the point of symptomatic or symptomatology, you know, then we'll treat you and then we'll help you cover your meds, et cetera. Versus in DPC world, man, we're talking about the foundations of health. Like, how are you
Mm-hmm.
sleeping? What does your exercise look like? What are you eating? What does your diet look like? What are you doing to take care of your mental health? Those four
Mhm.
pillars are true for everyone. Like those are
Mhm.
foundational health things. And it's like, I'm not saying, don't hear me say this. I'm not saying if you do those four things well, you'll never have a problem, because that's not true. But those
Mhm.
are four things that we can really hone in on. And then we can really get into the, I say weeds, but we can just get into the details of like, what does it look like to live a healthier life? And
Mhm.
you're an example, but many others are also examples of just like, it's refreshing to show up, to have that kind of attention, to have that kind of dedication, and digging into the details of this. And patients are happy. I'm happy. It's been a joy, honestly, man. That's kind of it in a
Well,
nutshell. But
yeah, yeah, and I think it's a good model because you build that personal connection. And I've worked in healthcare before, and one thing I noticed right off the bat with you, Blake, is that you're easy to talk to, you're friendly, and you don't look down on people. And this is going to trigger some folks and
mhm,
ruffle feathers, but I haven't met a lot of doctors that A, walk the walk, and B, don't have like this complex where they look down on you. And
mhm.
they a lot of them just want to throw pills at you, man. And I like how you take more of a holistic approach. And let's talk about your diet, let's talk about your sleep, let's talk about your exercise, and not just say, hey, here's a pill, go take this pill and you're going to feel better. And that personal connection for me is huge because it you build trust, man. And that, it's easier to respect someone, I think, if you can get along with them and actually have that connection and that rapport and say, okay, well, maybe I'll be more open minded. I mean, we've
Yeah,
talked, and there's some things that I was doing and kind of like, whatever. But you're big on the longevity piece, and that's a
yeah,
newer thing for me. Even being a trainer, I'm looking more at how hard can I push it. I want to go to the
yeah,
extreme because I'm
yeah,
like you spoke in college. I'm a performance based individual, and I'm very competitive, and I'm my own worst critic. So I've always kind of been hard on myself. So talking with you is kind of help me reframe my mindset and say, okay, I'm 45. Maybe I need to look at some things that I didn't consider before. Whereas if I was just going to a hormone clinic or just going to a walk-in clinic, they're not going to take that time to really get to know me like you did as a
yeah,
physician.
yeah. And they can't. It's not, the sad part
Right.
is, man, so many people in the system, they're not bad people, and they're not they don't, it's not that they don't know what I don't know or what I
Hmm.
know. They know it. They're in the system, and the system does not promote this type of wellness. It's a reactive state. It's a reactive system. It's not a proactive system.
Right.
So
Right.
man, having the ability to do this from a proactive standpoint, it's been so much fun. And also too, like in the holistic side, I think unfortunately so, due to COVID and due to many other things, we have this like polarizing thing happening where it's like Western medicine is evil and holistic way is the way to go, or holistic is like cuckoo people and they're crazy and they don't know what they're talking about, and evidence based is the only way. I like
Yeah.
to call myself the bridge in between. Like Western medicine's not evil, holistic medicine is absolutely not evil. But there's this time and space for all things.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in this holistic style, but I also believe in that sometimes medication is needed. It is,
Hmm.
it genuinely is. And then the system, they jump to that because that's all they can do, because that's all the time they have to do. Like they cannot
Right.
explain to you some of the root issues. And gosh, man, I'm not a counselor. I've done a lot of counseling myself. But you talk about the mental health, man. Like I love this, but uh, we are, by design and by nature, we hate pain points. No one likes them, and
Hmm.
so in turn, we live. I used to say, and I still feel true to this. It's like 95% of my life I'm living out of my head, and God, in the same way that He gave me a head, He also gave me a heart.
Hmm.
And I have learned how to reconnect, or like learned how to not even reconnect, just be open minded of like, oh, I also, not only do I think, but I also feel, and how to blend those two together, like more of a 50-50, like, mindset of
Mhm.
hey, I also consider what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. And in DPC world, man, like, while I'm not a counselor and I'm not going to ever claim to be, there's a lot of like um, discussion that you would not have in a standard primary care clinic that we're getting to have, where it's like, man, I've got some of my best friends are counselors and in the mental health space, and I've got resources. And in addition to, we're also going to try to tackle and do as much as we can to, again, address both all of those issues versus like, oh, you're anxious, here's the pill. Oh, you're depressed, here's
Mhm.
the pill. Oh, you're uh, you know, you can't sleep, here's the pill. It's like, man, so much of this can be improved. And I think like maybe foundationally the base of, if you had the right people to talk to, if you could start opening that door and start having those conversations around what you're feeling, right?
Mhm.
And instead of being stigmatized, it's been beautiful, man. I've been honored to be a part of some people's journeys, beginning and some in the middle and some in the end, of like getting to see it, and its fruition. It's been pretty cool.
Well, and I want to share this, and obviously you couldn't share this because it violates HIPAA, but you are um, my primary care, and we talked several weeks ago, and I was honest with you, and I said, guys, this mental health is not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing journey, and just
Mm.
because you are more self-aware, you're evolved, it doesn't mean you've got it figured out. I don't have it figured out. And Blake, I
No.
called you and I just said, man, like I am trying my best to do everything I can on my own, to deal with stress, to deal with anxiety. And I just told you, man, I was like, I need something. I cannot continue the way I'm going. And I'll share this. I feel comfortable sharing this. I talked to you about what kind of medication could I take to help me um, get a better grip on my anxiety. And I have done a lot of work on myself and got really into mental health, but I still struggle. I mean, it's still a thing that
Oh yeah.
I have self sabotaged before in the past. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to numb the things that I'm going through with alcohol or drugs or anything like that. So I felt, when I say drugs, I mean like illegal drugs, not prescription drugs,
Yeah.
or not abusing prescription drugs. But so I came to you and I just said, hey man, I'm going to be humble here. I need some help. Like I need to figure out a way. And I will say this on camera. I mean, after our conversation and the last time I saw you when we did lab work, it's helping. I mean, and I've been
Love
hit
it.
with a big tidal wave of BS this week. Is on Monday. I got railroaded by something. I'm not going to get into it, but that medication helped me not go in a dark place because it's
Yeah.
easy for me to kind of dip into kind of that. I want to isolate. I want to just get away from people because I'm trying to process what I'm going through. And
Yep.
the talking to you and building this rapport has helped me. And I know there's other men like myself out there that may feel awkward about talking to a doctor they don't know well, or going to someone and saying, hey, I need help. I need to understand, why do I have this pent up aggression, or why do I have this anxiety? And so I think your system and your model is great because it may bring someone to you that would normally go to a doctor to begin with, or even ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Spot on. It's I mean, that's a prime example of um, kind of going back to the medication is not evil. Somehow in the world we've thought, like, I'll just go ahead and say it. It's like there are things in the world that we medicate with, whether that's an actual medication, drug, or something else. Um, Entertainment, social media,
Mm-hmm.
um, music. And these are not evil in and of themselves. They're not bad things, but whatever things that we've utilized to medicate, again, that's why I kind of go back to, when you're doing everything you can, we've crossed that off, where it's like, hey, I'm doing what I can, diet wise, sleep wise, exercise wise. I'm doing all the counseling that I can. I'm staying connected with these groups, etc. I've got good, real connections with people that know me. Medication can be so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be, I'm going to be on it for the rest of my life. It could be a season. It can be for
Mm-hmm.
the rest of your life. It may be, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, this model, I don't take credit for it. Like, I just am so thankful it exists. I'm so grateful for people that have kind of paved the way and thought about it, because concierge medicine is kind of the term that oftentimes gets put on this, and I would say concierge. We are a concierge, but I like to call it concierge for everybody, because you know, this is my own issues, but like, I don't feel like I'm cut from the kind of cloth that could go to a concierge physician. I can't afford it. And the beauty of DPC is it's not so exclusive. It's for everybody. I've got patients who have no insurance. I've got some with insurance, um, because if you think about it from a cost analysis perspective, most people, I don't want to, lump and say everyone, but most people, if you look at your what you have, it's like, man, this is very reasonable for what you're getting in return.
Mhm.
And it gives everyone the opportunity for like healthcare, not health
Mhm.
insurance, healthcare.
Right.
Um, and man, I don't know. It's just been, yeah, it feels too good to be true that it exists, and I get to be a part of it. And you're just, I loved hearing your story, and I love let you share that, because man, it's like, I yeah, it reminds me of like why I'm doing it, and
Mhm.
it feels so affirming to the calling that I feel like I'm currently doing. So thanks for
Awesome,
sharing
man.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for all your help. So as we're kind of wrapping this up, I want to kind of shift directions real quick. What's one fun fact about you that maybe somebody wouldn't? I know what I want to say, but I want to maybe someone that meets you for the first time. What's a fun fact about yourself that maybe the average patient person you meet on the street wouldn't guess about you?
Fun fact. Oh
Yeah, you
gosh,
got one? I got one, but
man.
I got one. But I'd
I'm
love to hear
scared to
what you
I'm
think,
scared to
man.
ask. Um, ooh, I don't. This isn't fun, but this is kind of falling in suit with everything that I think we've said today. And um, yeah, I think this is appropriate. This is not a fun fact. This is just me being real, right? And being honest and doing something I normally wouldn't do.
Okay.
Internally, I think, and I've been told this throughout many times or many phases of life, and many different venues of life. Like, and we all do this, but you walk in a room and immediate like ten strangers see you, and there's
Mhm.
already a perceived notion of who you are. And I think, to to be black and white, it's like, I think when I walk in a room, it is, I don't, for whatever reason, right? I put off a certain vibe, whatever it may be. And oftentimes, if I'm honest and I'm vulnerable about it, it's, I am deathly afraid for you to see who I really am
Mm,
and it not be okay.
mm,
And uh and I'm working on my own ability to be vulnerable, and to be honest, and to be like, it kind of go back to the faith thing, man, like living out of the truth of who God says I am, not because of what I've done, but
mhm,
because of who he's called me, who he said I am. And man, I don't know. Maybe it's the sermon on Sunday, or maybe it's just the conversation. I had the counseling session right before I came here.
mm.
I even told my counselor, I was like, "Oh God, this is setting me up." But yeah, man, I think fun fact for me, man, is whatever I portray, and when people see me, whatever, I just want you to know, like, I'm a softie on the inside, man. I feel like I do have a big heart, and I really want people to like me, and I really want people
Mhm,
to get to know me and not judge me.
mhm.
I've judged people. I'm guilty of it, and I do this too. But yeah, man, I'm a scaredy. I got lots of fear in me, and yeah, that's my fun fact. I don't know if that's a fun fact, but
Well,
but yeah, man,
that was
it felt
that was
felt true.
that was powerful, and that was heavy. And thank you for sharing that. You're a cool guy, and you're easy to talk to. I noticed that right off the bat, and we connected really easy. We do have a similar testimony and kind of a story, but where I was going with this,
I
okay,
know where you're going, dude. I don't know what
yeah,
you're
so
saying.
for our viewers, Blake and I are in Franklin, Tennessee. So we're just right outside of Nashville, Tennessee. We were both raised here. I am not a country music fan. I have made that very clear on a lot of these podcasts. I'm going to keep making that clear. Mr. Blake here is a metalhead, just like me. And you don't
True.
meet a lot of metalheads in Nashville because everybody
Yeah.
hears about honky tonks and all that stuff. But not only are you a cool guy in a cool position, but you're a metalhead, dude, and that is amazing.
Yeah.
So that's where
Yeah.
I was going with the fun fact. But
Yeah, dude. I love it. I told I meet with some guys on Fridays. You know about this group? We call it
yeah,
a
yeah,
heart group. And
yeah,
man, one of my best friends from that group came off of talking about metal. Was like it spoke what I could not speak, but I internally felt.
yeah,
I felt a lot of rage as a kid.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and obviously metal does that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a place. Yeah, man, I love it. I do. It still sings to my soul, which sounds so weird. I've got the broad spectrum, dude. I love a lot of different kinds of music, and metal always finds its way to my heart in such a weird way. For sure
That's all.
does.
But no, I totally I can resonate with that. I mean, I get it, the rage and the anger, and that's an outlet for it. And
100%.
especially when you're in the gym or you're training, that's a good outlet. And I like a lot of different kind of music too.
Yeah,
But I was made fun of when I was in the military for being from Nashville.
yeah,
So because of country music. So I didn't grow up on it, man. I grew up on
yeah.
like Guns N' Roses and Van Halen and Def Leppard. So I've always been into metal, and I just thought that was a cool fact about you because I'm
Yeah, man.
really into music. So it was kind of cool because I was gonna say when I first met you, I never would have guessed that
Yeah.
because you're
Again,
clean
man, you
cut,
judged you
educated dude.
judged me.
I know,
You
I did.
judged
I
me.
know, I know, I know. It's all good. It's all good. I
Yeah.
was wrong. I was
Yeah.
wrong.
I
But
love surprising people.
yeah. Well, Blake, I'm gonna put all the contact info for Cool Springs Primary Care on the notes for this episode. We'll put the
Cool.
links for your Instagram and your Facebook. So, folks, if you want to get in touch with Blake, we'll make that easy for you. And once again, man, thank you so much for coming on here. When we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story of how you
Amen.
found Christ. And I really think that's the best part of this whole episode because it shows people God's everywhere. And whether you believe in him or not, he loves you. He's there, and you are worthy of salvation, regardless of your past, regardless of what you've done in your life. And he's there waiting for you. And he loves you. So I want everyone to take away from this episode. We all find Christ in our own ways when we decide to make that change in our life, but he's waiting on you and he's there for you.
Mm-hmm. Amen, man. Honored to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. And Blake, thanks a lot for coming on, brother. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.